September 1933. A bellows camera sits on a wooden surface in the early morning cold. Black, battered, smelling of leather and machine oil. An ink-stained hand reaches in and lifts it. The lens catches a sliver of light. One frame left on the roll. Beyond the wire mesh, something paces. The enclosure smells of wet straw. The shape moves in a rhythm that is almost canine, almost not. The camera operator holds still. He does not know this yet, but he is about to take the last photograph anyone will ever take of this animal alive. Hobart Zoo, September 1933. The grounds are nearly empty. A single keeper in a canvas jacket walks the gravel path. His breath mists in the cold air. The eucalyptus is sharp. The silence is sharper. The photograph survives. In high contrast black and white, the ribs of the thylacine are clearly visible beneath its striped coat, not as anatomy, but as evidence. A thin red line traced along that ribcage contour tells you something the caption never did. The man with the camera is David Flea, zoologist. He crouches at enclosure level, camera raised. His field notebook lies open on the ground beside him, pages weighted down with a stone. The notebook is still readable. On one page, in slightly smeared ink, Day 11 animal refusing food. 11 days. Flea wrote it down. He filed it. He moved on. The enclosure latch is broken. New wire wraps around a rusted iron clasp. The contrast between them is visible in the record. New wire, old iron, and a door that should not have been left that way. The thylacine is pressed into the far corner of the cage. Facing away, its tail is rigid. It does not turn toward the camera. This is the frame. Today, at the National Museum of Australia, an archivist pulls a flat archival box from a shelf. The accession label reads NMA 2014.0031. She sets it on a light table carefully. Inside, a contact print. She places a loop over the animal's flank. Grainy, irreversible, final. By the end of this video, you will see a specific maintenance log entry, dated, signed, and filed, that was sitting inside this photograph the entire time, not metaphorically, literally embedded in the documented record of the day this picture was taken. That entry changes what this photograph means. 2,184 bounties, between 1,888 and 1,909. The Tasmanian government paid farmers, trappers and shooters for every thylacine they killed, each claim logged, each payment recorded. The red dots spread across the island like a rash, then thin, then stop. The official story writes itself. Sheep stations, open grassland, a colonial economy that ran on wool and blamed the thylacine for every missing lamb. The animal became a pest by government decree, farmers collected. The island was methodical about it. The last entry in the bounty ledger is dated 1909. Below it, ruled lines, nothing. The program ended, not because the thylacine was protected, but because there were too few left to bother chasing. Museum storage rooms hold the evidence. Rows of specimens in glass jars, labels showing collection dates. Nearly all pre-1910. The population collapse is right there on the shelves. Hunting pressure. Habitat loss. A government that paid for extinction by the head. Then a researcher pulls up the population curve. The line drops hard between 1,888 and 1,910. Then it levels, does not recover. But it also does not reach zero, not for another 26 years. The bounty ends, the animal keeps dying. Slowly. A wildlife biologist circles that flat section with her finger. She looks up, says nothing. That gap is the problem. If hunting drove the extinction, why did the animal take another quarter century to disappear after the hunting stopped? The 1933 flea photograph appears beside a 1910 image of a thylacine at the same zoo. Same species, same facility. The body condition is not the same. The 1933 animal is visibly reduced at the shoulder, hip, ribcage. Fagan et al. 2021, Science of the Total Environment, put measurement overlays on both images. The difference is documented. Zoo records from the 1920s show feeding logs, enclosure notes, veterinary visits. The veterinary visits stop appearing after 1928, the feeding quantities drop, the animal is still alive. But something has changed in how it is being kept. An archivist turns pages slowly. She pauses on a page from 1931, runs her finger down a column, stops. The bounty program ended in 1909. The last thylacine died in 1936, 27 years. And the photographs show an animal that was already failing, not from bullets, but from something quieter. So, what was happening inside that enclosure? March 2021. A paper lands in Science of the Total Environment. The authors are a team from the University of Melbourne. Lead researcher Charles Feigen. The title is clinical, almost bureaucratic. But the subject is a photograph taken 88 years earlier. Nobody had ever read that photograph as data, until now. The study does something simple. It places the 1933 image beside a standard marsupial body condition scoring chart. A researcher's hand moves between them, marking reference points on the shoulder, the hip, the lateral flank. This is not art history. This is forensic biology. The two images, separated by nearly a century, are suddenly a diagnostic pair. Zoom in on the left shoulder. The scapula is visible through the skin, not hinted at, visible. Feigen's team labels it clearly: muscle mass deficit, consistent with chronic caloric restriction. Not a sudden illness, not an infection. Something slow, something that had been building for a long time before anyone pointed a camera. A researcher at a monitor in Melbourne zooms into the digitized photograph. The ribs resolve into sharp lines. She does not look surprised. She looks like someone reading a document that should have been read decades ago. 3 photographs, 1928, 1931, 1933. The body mass index overlay tracks across all 3 images. The line moves in one direction only, down, steadily, measurably. Across 5 years. The keeper's daily log for 1933 is neat. Routine: animal active, fed 0.6 kilograms, then, 11 days before the photograph, animal quiet, fed 0.6 kilograms, partial refusal. No escalation, no alert. The same daily ration, the same handwriting, nothing changes on paper. A veterinary researcher reads that entry today. She sets the log down, picks up the Feigen paper, reads one line, sets that down too. She looks at the photograph for a long moment. The feeding trough in the photograph's background is empty. The image holds for 4 full seconds. 4 seconds is a long time to look at an empty trough. The veterinary visit timeline tells the rest. Green bars mark each examination. They become sparse after 1928. After 1931, the bars stop entirely. No veterinarian examined this animal in its final 2 years. The Feigen study answers one question. The deterioration was visible, measurable, and documented across multiple years. But that answer opens something darker. The deterioration was visible in person too. Someone saw this animal every single day. So why does the maintenance log for that same week describe only one repair and file it as routine? The Hobart Zoo maintenance log for the week of the 19th of September 1933 is 4 pages long. Gravel path raked, gate hinge oiled, wire repair, enclosure 7. Enclosure 7 is the thylacine enclosure, the same enclosure where David Flea set up his bellows camera that cold September morning. The wire repair and the photograph are the same day. Look at the column header on that log page, maintenance category. The valid categories are printed at the top. Structural, grounds, equipment, routine, animal health is not on the list. It was never on the list. At the National Museum of Australia, accession box NMA 2014.0031 holds 3 items. The maintenance log, the keeper's field notes, and the flea photograph, all filed together. Same box, 90 years. Hold both documents side by side. Left, Day 11 animal refusing food. Right, wire repair routine, same week, same enclosure. The documents never speak to each other. The system made sure of that. The overlap between what the keeper recorded and what the maintenance log recorded is empty. Animal condition fell between two bureaucratic categories and disappeared, not erased, just never assigned a column. Charles Feigen's 2021 paper states it plainly. Morphometric analysis of the September 1933 flea image indicates progressive muscle atrophy inconsistent with acute terminal illness, suggesting a chronic welfare deficit extending at minimum 11 days prior to the image date. 11 days. The photograph was taken on day 11. The camera captured the evidence. Nobody read it for 88 years. Go back to the photograph now. Red line on the ribcage, yellow marker on the empty trough, blue arrow on the wired latch at the frame's edge. 3 pieces of evidence, 1 image. The payoff was always there. Every framed photograph of an extinct animal on a museum wall is also a document. Most have never been read as one. If you found this fascinating, subscribe. We investigate strange real creatures like this every single day.